Saluton, everyone, benvenuti al mio canale, and today is Esperanto lesson 6, and we're going to learn indirect object, future tense, and complementary infinitive. I have no idea what does it mean, but let's start. Hope you will enjoy this lesson.
Saluton, kai bonvenon. Hello and welcome. This is lesson 6. In this lesson, you're going to learn about indirect objects, future tense, and complementary infinitive. Indirect objects are very closely related to direct objects. All it does is show what receives a direct object. As an example, she gives me coffee. We already know that coffee is the direct object of the sentence because coffee is a thing that is being given. The word me is the indirect object because me is the thing or person that the coffee is being given to. We can also say this in a different way. We could say, she gives coffee to me. Coffee is still the direct object, and me is still the indirect object. Now I'm going to teach you a few more verbs that we're going to use to practice indirect objects. The verb doni means to give. The verb fare means to make or to do.
Doni, to give. Doni,
Fare means to.
fare, to make. Fare,
To make or to do.
ajudou.
In Esperanto, if we want to express indirect objects, we have to use things called prepositions. But don't worry too much about what prepositions are, because I'm going to talk about them in a later lesson. These are words like al, which means to or toward, or we can use the word por, which means
Al.
for.
To or toward. All. For. For.
So we know that indirect objects have to use prepositions in Esperanto, so we just use a preposition plus the indirect object. As an example, she donas kafon al mi.
She donas kafon al mi. She give me a coffee, I guess. She donas. She give kafon al mi.
This is the same sentence that we looked at earlier. She gives coffee to me. Kafo is the direct object, so notice that we have the no ending on a kafo because the no ending, which is the accusative ending, is used to mark a direct object. But we don't add this ending to me because the no ending can only be used for direct objects, not indirect objects. To show that it's an indirect object, we just use the preposition al, which means to or toward. So, she donas kafon al mi means she gives coffee to me.
She gives.
But we could also say, she donas al mi kafon. This has the same meaning, but the words are in a different order. Kafo is still the direct object because it's what's being given, so it still has the no ending. But we still have to mark me as the indirect object, so we need the preposition al to be right before it, so we know that the coffee is being given to me. Let's try another example. They made pizzas for the children.
Ili past tense, faris. Pizza. Pizzon or some I can't remember. Pizza. pizzoi. Ili faris pizzoi por all children. I don't remember. No, children. Infanoi. I don't know. Okay, that'll be ili faris ili faris pizzoi por al infano. Ili faris pizzoi por al infanoi.
Ili faris pizzojn por la infanoj.
Not bad. Ili faris pizzojn por la infanoj. Ili faris pizzojn por la infanoj.
Remember that pizzas is plural, so we have the yo ending, and it's also the direct object, so we have the letter no added after the yo ending. Por means for, so we put the word por right before la infanoj to indicate that it's the indirect object. And in this case, we're using por because it's for the children, not to the children. How about I made bread for you?
Mi faris panon por vi por mi faris panon por vi por la vi por vi mi faris panon por vi.
For you. This is going to use the verb fari, but do you remember the past tense?
Faris.
Mi faris panon por vi. The word
Mi faris panon por vi. I'm bread for you. Mi faris panon por vi.
word
Paris.
pano has the no
Paris.
ending because it's what's being made, and we say por vi because it's for you. Now we can talk about the future tense. You've already learned the present tense and the past tense, so now we're going to learn the future tense. The future tense shows that an action has not yet occurred, but eventually will. In English, we don't has not yet occurred, but eventually will. In English, we don't technically have a future tense because we just add things like the word will or going to before the verb. So we say things like I will run or I am going to run. But in Esperanto, the ending for the future tense is os. So the word for will eat or going to eat is manĝos.
Manĝos.
Let's look at a few examples. I will not eat apples. Mi ne
I want to translate it by
I will
myself. Me will not. Ne will os. Mi ne manĝos pomoj. mi ne manĝos pomoj. Apples. Pomoj. Mi ne manĝos pomoj.
to eat apples. Mi ne manĝos pomojn.
Mi ne manĝos pomoj. Mi ne manĝas pomoj. I will not eat apples.
You will not walk quickly.
You I don't remember. I just said it. Vi ne marŝios. Vi ne vi ne walk. Marŝios. Vi ne marŝios rapidly.
Hopefully you still remember how to use adverbs.
Vi ne marŝas rapide.
Vi ne marŝos rapide.
Vi ne marŝas rapide. Vi ne marŝas Vi ne marŝas rapide.
How about will you drink water?
So for questions it will be ĉu vi drinkas akvon? Ĉu vi drinkas akvon?
To say this
Ĉu
in
vi
Esperanto,
Ĉu vi drinkas
we
akvon?
say ĉu vi trinkos akvon?
Ĉu vi drinkas akvon? Ĉu vi drinkas akvon? Drinkas. Will you drink water? Ĉu vi drinkas
Now let's learn about the complementary infinitive. We use complementary infinitive when two verbs are used together. This is just a verb in any conjugation. Plus another infinitive. As an example, I like to eat. In this case, like is the main verb, and to eat is the complementary infinitive. In Esperanto, we would say mi ŝatas manĝi. Ŝatas is the verb, and manĝi is the complementary infinitive. So the infinitive
Mi ŝatas manĝi. I like to eat. Very useful sentence.
almost behaves like the direct object of the verb ŝatas, but it still has the infinitive ending because it's a verb. Now let's learn some more verbs so you can practice more with complementary infinitives. Voli means to want.
To want. Voli. Voli.
Devi means to have to
Devi.
or must.
To have or must. Devi.
Desiri means to
Desiri.
wish.
Desiri. Wish. Desiri.
So how do we say the dog wishes to fly?
I don't remember if there is some word for them or not. And dog will be hundo. Hundo desiri wishes. So it's present tense. Hundo desiri al fly. Hundo desiri al fly. Fugi. Hundo desiri al fugi.
La hundo deziras
hundo.
flugi.
La hundo desiras fugi. La hundo desiras fugi. Fugi.
How would we say he must give water to me?
He must. He li must. Devi. Li devi doni. Li devi doni akvon por mi. Al mi. He devi he devi doni akvon al mi. He must give water to me. What tense is it? I don't know. Li
devas doni akvon al mi.
Li devas doni akvon al mi. He must give me what he must give water to me.
How about we will want to eat pizza?
Ili will want. Ili volios al manĝos pizzon. Ili volios al manĝos pizzon. Manĝos.
Ni volos manĝi pizzon.
Ni volos. Ni volos manĝi. Why two is disappearing here? Manĝi pizzon. We want to eat pizza. Ni volos manĝi pizzon.
And what about they didn't like to run quickly?
They didn't like ili ŝataj. It was airplane in the sky. Ili ŝata ili ne ŝatos al run. I don't remember. Run. Kuri. Rapide. Ili ne ŝatos al kuri rapide.
Ili ne ŝatis kuri rapide.
Ili ne ŝatis kuri rapide. Okay. Ili ne ŝatis kuri rapide. Quickly.
And how about, do you want to eat bread?
Do you want to we want Wally? Chubi, Wally, Almandas, Pano? Chubi, Wally, do you want? Chubi, Wally, Almandas, Pano, without Al. To Chubi, Wally, Mandas, Pano.
Ĉu vi volas manĝi panon?
Ĉu vi volas manĝi panon? Ĉu vi volas manĝi panon? You want to eat bread? Ĉu vi volas manĝi panon?
To review, we learned about indirect objects, and we learned that the future tense ending is os, and we also learned about complementary infinitives. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you. It was a bit hard, but pretty interesting, and I like that I remember some of previous lessons. I don't remember English, but I remember Esperanto. So yeah, I took some notes. Goodbye. It was pretty many to notice. And yeah, I think I made some I think I forgot English and learned Esperanto, so yeah. Goodbye. Thank you for your attention.